As we face the chaos of the 2020s, as we look ahead of us and realize that we are going to be needing to deal with disruption, disruptive change, to deal with things we've never dealt with before, not just as we come out the other side of the COVID crisis, but as an ongoing reality for the rest of this decade. One of the biggest challenges that organizations and their leaders are facing is how to build adaptability into your DNA. Adaptability, you might prefer other words like flexibility, responsiveness to change, agility, even resilience. They're not synonyms, but they all mean very similar things in this context. We need to be able to deal with the fact that we don't know what happens next. We need to be able to come up with plans and strategies and goals and targets that take into account that we cannot predict what's going to happen, that things are going to happen that we couldn't anticipate, and we can't be knocked off of the course every time something like this happens. One of the ways to do this is to develop the concept of adaptive intelligence, or maybe more specifically, to develop adaptive leaders within your organization. Now, that's not just using the word adaptive as an adjective. There is, in fact, a model of adaptive leadership. Numbers of people around the world have put their minds towards leadership models, and adaptive leadership is probably most linked with Ron Heifetz and some of his colleagues out of Harvard University. There are others like Margaret Wheatley, or Meg Wheatley, I think she goes by Meg, who have looked at these issues of becoming more adaptive. And I really recommend that you have a look at the concept of adaptive leadership and look at some of the writings. We have some of these available on our website and a whole list of sources. So just go to tomorrowtodayglobal.com and do a search for adaptive leadership. But what I wanted to do just very briefly in this short video, it's actually a video I'm putting together just for a client as a refresher for them as part of a workshop series that we are doing with them on adaptive leadership, is to just highlight one of the core concepts of adaptive leadership. And it's kind of where a lot of the model flows from. And that is the difference between a technical and an adaptive challenge. When you face a challenge, when you're dealing with an issue, when you're faced with something that needs to be done, when you're developing a strategy, whatever it is, an issue, a strategy, a challenge, whatever you're facing, you need to identify, is it a technical issue or is it adaptive? A technical issue is where past experience is going to be valuable. You've been here before, you've done this before, you understand how this works. A technical challenge is going to be where your expertise and experience, so your professional training, your background, your experience, your functional domain abilities are going to be what's required. In other words, it's kind of, we know what we're looking at. We see the challenge, we're able to apply our minds to the challenge, we're able to identify, to name, to label, to characterize the challenge. We're able to make sense of it. And once we've made sense of it, we're able to bring our expertise to bear and say, well, here are a set of potential solutions. And then we're able to agree on which solution we select. And then the task is to give that as a project, as a plan, as a set of goals to somebody and a team, and let them do it. In other words, this is the way most of the world normally works. And it applies in a variety of different environments. You know, if your house is burning down, you want a set of professional people to arrive who have technical expertise in dealing with fire. In other words, you want the fire truck to arrive with the firemen and the firewomen who know what they're doing to arrive and say, haha, we know what type of fire this is. We've been here before. In fact, we've just come from one which we successfully dealt with, and step aside, we can do this. You want the same with brain surgery, right? You want a brain surgeon to look at your brain scan and go, oh, okay, I see what type of tumor this is. I know what type of tumor it is. There is a way to deal with these types of tumors. I've dealt with these type of tumors before. So let's schedule to get you into the operating theater, and I can do this. You know, I know what I'm doing. And the same would apply in different stages in different parts of your business. When you're rolling out a new product, when you are opening up a new market, when you are hiring a new staff member, when you are dealing with clients, there are certain moments when it is a technical problem, a technical challenge, and you need technical expertise to provide a technical solution. The problem is when you find yourself in an adaptive environment. The problem is when you find yourself in a situation where you say, we've never dealt with this before. We've never seen this before. We have no experience of this issue before. We've never had that question before. Or where you might say, and maybe you've had this experience with your team, where you say, but we've spoke about this. This issue keeps coming up, and I thought we had dealt with it. Didn't we just deal with it in last month's team meeting? Why is this thing still an issue? That's a very sure sign that you've got an adaptive challenge on your hand, that you've tried to deal with in a technical way. You've tried to just bring, well, let's just think about it. Let's just choose the solution. Now send a memo to everybody and tell them we've found the solution. And then you discover, well, that wasn't the solution because it probably wasn't even the problem. And you might be in a situation where you say, well, I don't know now. I don't even know what the problem is. So how can I solve it? I don't know why we keep dealing with this. If you've ever had those conversations, I'm just replaying one literally I had with a team member yesterday. If you've had those conversations before, you'll know what I'm talking about when I say sometimes you have adaptive challenges. We've never been here before. We don't know what the problem is because we keep going round and around, and we certainly don't know what the solutions are. That is an adaptive challenge. And an adaptive challenge requires a very different approach from leadership. It's not the technical expert that's required. It's not the project manager that can guide you through the stages of choosing a solution and implementing it. It's an adaptive leader. An adaptive leader that is able to come into an environment and see things from a different perspective. Adaptive leaders then need a toolkit of diagnosing the problem, of being able to accept uncertainty and change, of being able to get onto the balcony and get a bigger picture perspective of the systems that are in play, who are able to invite learning, who realize we've got new things to learn, who are therefore comfortable to embrace differences of opinions and worldviews, even external people's inputs. Who are able to manage the conversation to get differences of opinions and worldviews reflected in the view, and who are able to give control of these situations to different people, and are able to manage this adaptive process, this adaptive system in adaptive ways. So that's what adaptive leadership is, and I think that developing adaptive leadership is one of the most important things for us to do in our organizations, and actually go beyond leadership to develop adaptive intelligence in the entire organization, so that we are flexible, agile, responsive to change, resilient, and all those other things we're going to need to survive the rest of the 2020s. If you need help in developing adaptive leadership, contact our team at Tomorrow Today Global. We'll be happy to share resources with you, and if we can assist you by way of sharing our frameworks or even walking a journey with your leadership team, we'd be happy to do that. We'd love to hear from you.